Hi, I'm Saren.
And I'm Ray.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics. Gimme, gimme.
Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend D.G. Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I am your sleepy-headed host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is that blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits.
Phil, me, and Perich.
Hey, welcome back, podcast.
Oh, that's right, podcast.
So, podcast Perich, fill me in, Perich. We're going old school. We're using the classic nicknames.
Or forget.
Yeah, well, you know, I was very sleepy. It's been an evening, Philip. Let me tell you that for sure. Goodness me. Let's see. What did I want to talk about tonight? There were a few things. Well, this is interesting. I don't know if you saw this, but once again, all the leaks are coming from all the best merch. Thermos, the company known for their lunchboxes for decades, apparently accidentally leaked She-Hulk merch that had the photograph of Ms. What's her name? Maslansky, I believe it's something like that. The actress who plays She-Hulk in full She-Hulk form on the thermos. And it's just basically her little sweet little face painted green, and it's like, hello, I'm the She-Hulk. And so that was controversial. They pulled it down almost immediately, but I'm not quite sure why they did it. I don't know if they worried it maybe was not exciting enough.
Do you think someone messed up, and did they have something from Disney that says, don't post this until a certain date, and someone messed up?
Well, I mean, that's usually how it happens, or as often happens with all the delays. Something was supposed to be out, and so it was like, oh yeah, we're supposed to release this now, and no one was really paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Or
it was the wrong file or something. They were supposed to put up a Moon Knight or something, and by accident someone hit the wrong file and put up She-Hulk.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But I guess what's weird to me is that they rushed to pull it back down, but there wasn't really anything excessively spoilery about it. I guess maybe the worst case scenario is that it is that first introduction to the character, and they wanted that to be under certain circumstances, and it was under a completely different set of circumstances.
Oh yeah, I think if Disney wants the first look to be on their social media, their website, they want to pick the exact image that goes up first. Yeah.
So that was perhaps the issue, but as it is, did you see the image or
no? I did not. No, I didn't see this. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's over on CBR right now, and it's like I said, it's very simple. It's a picture of She-Hulk's face, and it is just that actress's face green, and I suppose if anything, in the worst case scenario, is that it's maybe a little underwhelming.
Yeah,
it's not something that jumps out at you any more than, oh, it's that actress. Okay. I think that's always maybe the problem that you have with that, because she is a character that just looks like herself, maybe giant sized, but is still just herself. So maybe it was always going to be underwhelming, and they just didn't know how to approach it. So, and to that extent, I think it's the Band-Aid ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
What was shocking, though, what was earth-shattering news is the fact that the MPAA has rated Rob Zombie's new Munsters movie. And did you see what it got rated, Phil?
PG, wasn't it?
PG, yeah. It is surprising and shocking. That is shocking, really. Although it shouldn't be because it's the Munsters.
Yeah, they try to make it a probably a movie, bring the whole family to it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it just obviously it's the kind of situation where no one was expecting Rob Zombie to make the family-friendly Munsters. Everyone is expecting the Heath Ledger Joker
like something Tim Burton, yeah.
And just the idea that it's not going to be crossing line. It's going to be a faithful and possibly delightful adaptation of the Munsters. I think that is shocking. Mm-hmm. I think that is the most shocking. Now, there is also this worry that, the MPAA does grade on a curve. Wow. And so they might be saying, well, this is what everyone expects from a Rob Zombie film. So, among Rob Zombie films, this is just like a PG. But to anyone else, it would be R, That's like the worry there, but I don't think they do.
I don't think. If you get a certain amount of, gore, blood, I mean, they would, no matter what, they would give it at least a PG-13. I thought it would have been at least a PG-13, so.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that they did go for PG and that Rob Zombie wanted to go for PG. I mean, and it kind of suggests that, the person who's creating this has respect for the source material, which is, if nothing else, the thing you really want to make sure of when you're doing an adaptation.
Yeah.
Is how does the author feel about this source material?
Well, then it might be close to the source material because it was on TV back, how many decades ago. So yeah, I mean, if it's very close to the TV show, it's not going to be rated that high.
Well, exactly, but that's the thing. And Cassandra Peterson, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, has been tapped, and she will have a role in that, playing the real estate agent that sells the Munsters their home, apparently. Or perhaps wants to buy the Munsters home.
Ooh.
Because she's the top real estate agent on Mockingbird Lane, so... It's an interesting question. I'm not sure the plot, but I'm excited for it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be maybe a prequel, because we do not have a Marilyn or an Eddie yet.
Oh.
And so the fact that a real estate agent is coming into the story, that there is some discussion about them moving from Transylvania to Mockingbird Lane, maybe that is going to be the plot line, is that this is like that early origin of the story. You have Grandpa, Lily, and Herman moving into Mockingbird Lane, and that's when they decide to assimilate into the suburban subculture of Mockingbird Lane. So it's an interesting possibility. I'm excited for this film. I really am. This is actually probably one of the films I am most excited about for this year. This and Weird, the Al Yankovic story. So that's exciting to me, Philip.
Well, maybe, maybe you're right. Maybe they do, it's it starts off with them as newlyweds and they move in with Grandpa, and then by the end of the movie, the children are born, and then, if you do a sequel, then you do a little bit of a time jump so the kids are a little older.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an interesting possibility. There is a lot of Munsters lore out there that they have explored over the years, so it'll be neat to see what gets pulled in, what is canonical to classic Munsters lore. Will there be some reference to Munsters Hall in England? Anything's possible. One thing that and just to shift gears here, I don't know if you saw this recently, but apparently. The current head of DC's film division was asked, how do you make a great superhero film? And, I mean, what he said was right, which is, first you make a good film. You don't worry about it being a good superhero film. And it's nice, and I guess it's appropriate with, coming off of the heels of Joker and the Batman. The Joker and the Batman. But
the Suicide Squad,
the Suicide Squad. It also just hits you as being like, well, yeah. I mean, we know that. That's what Marvel's been doing. It just seems weird for DC to be acting like, yes, of course, we know what it takes to make a good superhero film.
Well, again, too, are people trying to justify their jobs all of a sudden because, like Lil told us, that Discovery merger is going through. So is this people saying, "Oh yes, I make quality movies"?
You know that everyone has to make it work. Oh, I'm not sure, Philip. I'm not sure. Okay. There's not a lot of news to really talk about today. Obi-Wan's. Did you see the Obi-Wan trailer?
I did not. It looked pretty.
Did not, man.
It looks pretty. I mean, from what I heard, people were flipping out about it. So it looks pretty good.
It looks really interesting, and there's like this big issue. It opens up with this sort of by this monologue of Ewan McGregor. Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, you know, we did fight and we lost, you know, and there's a lot of discussion about who is he talking to here. My actual honest feeling is this has got to be from when he meets up with Lars Owen, or Owen Lars. What I forget how the Sir and first name structure works on Tatooine.
Wasn't Owen?
But I have to believe that's him talking to Uncle Owen and basically saying, "You don't have to worry about me. Yeah, I was part of the Jedi. There was a war. We lost. I'm just trying to get by now. You know, I'm not here to cause any trouble for the kid or for anyone, but I'm trying to just get by." And because that's the big thrust of it, is that obviously the Inquisitors are going out. They're looking for all of the rogue Jedi. And I think I do think this is going to be about that relationship that gets built between Owen and Obi-Wan in the aftermath of the fall of the Empire. So that's interesting. And speaking about fallen empires, I did not get to finish the second episode of Picard yet. Although I did start watching it. It was very interesting. I saw the first episode, and then when I'm trying to watch it, it just my Paramount app was just acting up.
Wow.
I know you said you had watched the whole thing.
Yes. So, I mean, you saw the first part with Q, because, that's like the only part he's in is in the beginning of the episode, so you saw that part.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has put in basically another mirror universe. Yeah. So this is a different mirror universe, sort of like a variant mirror universe from the other mirror universes, which, again, goes into this idea that all of these universes can exist simultaneously. And this is one where Picard is effectively the man who led the Terran Confederation to conquer most of space. You know, so it's like the mirror universe Empire of Earth, except this is the Confederation of Earth.
Well, it's weird because later on, I don't know if you saw the part, Picard says, "Oh, this is our reality. It's just been altered." So I'm like, I wonder. I mean, is this the main timeline, but it's been altered? And then, like, if you do that, like, if the regular timeline goes dark, what happens to that mirror universe? Does that the mirror universe become a nice, happy, shiny place then?
That's an interesting question. You know?
Because I always feel like they're the opposite of each other. So if you really dirty up the regular timeline,
Yeah, I had gotten as far to when they pull the Borg Queen out of stasis, and she's like, you know, I can see both universes. You know, you have broken time, and you know, and I also saw like from articles that so apparently the Borg Queen and Picard need to team up.
Well, because they all
fix the universe.
Yeah, they all beam out and like take the Borg Queen with them, and they're like, oh well, you know, we need the time travel, but you know, we don't have a time machine, and it's like, oh well, you know, back in the day, Kirk and them used the slingshot from the gravitational pull from a star, but they're like, you need someone to do all these calculations. They had Spock, where they're like, oh, we'll use the Borg Queen.
Well, there you go.
Because you know they Picard and Seven are like, do you want your empire back? Do you want your hive back? You had it pretty good in the original reality, so help us fix it.
Yeah, although, I mean, to be fair, they didn't really need all of that. There wasn't a lot of math. They just did the slingshot thing. Those who know. It's like, I remember that. They just did the slingshot maneuver, and that just shoots you right back. Shoots you right back into the past.
Yeah, so, the episode is them. They get back on the ship and they try to get away, and then they get boarded by the Confederation or whatever.
Yeah. It's interesting. 7 of 9 is president of Earth, so good for her. Yeah.
So, did you see? Yeah, there's one part Picard is telling them, he's like, telling them it's Q. He's like, man, he seems a little unstable. So I wonder, it's like, okay, so what is, spoilers for the first, you should have watched the first episode already, but,
yeah, well, I did.
Yeah, no, I mean, people listening to this, but it's like, so, you think the whole thing is like Picard detonating the ship, like in that, it's like basically a rip in the space-time continuum, then he blows up a warp core in the middle of that, and did that what caused this, or?
Well, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I remember reading, like, on what is, like, the lore of the Mirror Universe, that somehow the humans went to war with the Q and beat them.
Ooh.
And the Qs were all held at bay in the Q dimension by the humans. I don't know. I mean, it's anything. We know that there was a war in the Q dimension at one point. So exactly what has happened to the Q is open and up for debate.
I just thought too, I'm like, either he affected that, maybe they're so tied into the universe, or I'm like, did Picard did Picard almost destroy the universe? Like throwing a hammer through like a window or something. Did he almost shatter the universe, and like Q is using most of his power to like hold the universe together or something? Is that why he?
Well, it's interesting when we actually look at what the origin of the first episode is.
Yeah.
Which is the Borg Queen coming to the rip in space-time, asking for participation in the Federation.
A very different looking Borg Queen, yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting that we have that, and we have her trying to take over the ship.
Oh, yeah, and then they take control of the whole fleet, yeah.
Yeah, and within that, I do wonder if that is this idea of going all the way back to the first encounter at Farpoint, which is like, are you going to go beyond your assumptions and prejudices about these beings, perhaps rightly earned, but are you going to just sort of take a moment to try and understand what's happening, or are you going to have your gut negative reaction?
Or even some of that, the last episode, The Best of Both Worlds, where, Q tested him. It was basically, it's like, hey, this thing's moving backwards through time. You have to, close this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I do think that is maybe going to be a part of it,
But, I mean, I know it's for story's sake, but I'm like, in the beginning of the episode, he doesn't have to believe Q, but why don't you let Q tell you his side of the story, and you can choose to believe it or not.
Yeah, well, because then the story could happen.
Yeah. I mean, you could always have...
And to be fair, Q is counting on Picard, because he even says to him, I could tell you, but, you won't believe me, or, it's like, if you believe me, you're too smart to believe me if I told you, which is just that idea, like, it has to be something that humanity has to come to understand.
Yeah.
Beyond what they are told. They've got to discover the truth of reality for themselves. So
it's like, come on, he's been mind raped by a 1,000-year-old satellite. He'll believe in it. Come on. He's seen his share of stuff.
Well, to be fair, I mean that happens a lot in this universe.
Yeah, true.
And that was the interesting thing about the war with the Vulcans, they'll mind meld you, and it gets a little crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, he killed all the, he killed Serac, he killed Gul Dukat, and all these other, in this universe. He had this trophy room with all those skulls and stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting. They said, that Serac was killed in front of his wife and son.
Yes.
not sons or children.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know what that was about, because as those who will remember, Sarek does have another son from his first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've recently learned, he apparently just had a daughter, too. Just an adopted human daughter for a while.
Yes, but she's in
that we've never mentioned.
She's in the far future. Oh, they keep all that. They keep that thing's top secret because of Discovery and their, jumping ability. But no, again, it's an altered timeline too. So maybe he only had one kid.
Yeah. But does that mean Spock, or does that mean the other one?
I don't know.
There we go. Is this the one where Sarek never met Spock's mom? Was that Majel Barrett who played Spock's mom?
No. She was the nurse, wasn't she? Wasn't she?
Yeah.
Was Nurse Chapel. Yeah, no. I forget the
Majel had a couple of roles on the show.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see where it all goes.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be interesting. All right, you want to talk a couple of comics?
Yeah.
I got 4.
Well, definitely we have to talk Devil's Reign Superior 4, number 3, the final part.
Yes. So, I enjoyed this book.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy this book. Although I have to admit, there's this aspect to it that makes me go like, where it almost feels like they're just rushing to tie up the loose ends.
Yeah.
I did like basically the bonding of Otto with the Automan thing.
Oh, yeah, like the organic arms, yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought that was because it sort of implies that in this universe, rather than Ted Sallis, it was Otto Octavius who got bonded with the Nexus of All Realities. And also seemed to be the fact that, like, Otto Werner von Strange, who, as Otto said, was just not even just you're just an amalgam of several other characters. There's a bit meta of him, but that's cool. I enjoyed that aspect of it, although I guess what I found most interesting, because in this, what the Automan thing wants more than anything else is just to be put out of its misery, and instead they have the Automan thing take over TJ's Spider-Man role in his universe, because that's what caused the cascade, was them choosing to kill TJ. Which is one of these weird things that it's like they never really address it. They don't really address what they did with TJ, what they were planning on doing with TJ in stealing his essence, when they kill the Otto in universe.
Yeah. I think they kind of rushed it a little bit, probably because they only got 3 issues, and it's like, well, Otto has to be back in the main Devil's Reign, series with Wilson Fisk and stuff. So,
yeah.
Well, what did you think about that? Otto Supreme basically saying, hey, fine, quit messing with me. I can make you the superior Spider-Man again. And then him saying, I was the one who was like whispering in your ear, taught you how to make the summon Mephisto and everything.
Yeah, I found that interesting, because it's interesting just in this idea that, that this Otto Supreme was the one manipulating other universe versions of himself. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what to take from that. And I get the feeling that's like the kind of threat, because he even said, Jake, oh yeah, he'll probably be back at some point.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, like, is that something that, the author is setting up for a future thing, or is it just like, we're just going to leave that there as an Easter egg for the next person to see if anyone wants it. You want to talk Devil's Reign issue 5?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Kingpin just seems completely off the rails here.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's messed with his head. He's used that Purple Man's power to, like, bring back these memories.
He's high on the Purple Man juice, man. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, him going to poor Mike Murdoch's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Although, again, it's weird here because, again, it is this issue where Kingpin doesn't really... He may have his memories back, but he doesn't really understand what it was he knew. Because he's like, oh, you're pretending to be blind and pretending to be Daredevil and all this stuff. And Mike's like, what? No! Just as Mike is trying to get the Norn Stone. Which now raises that question, is like, does Kingpin now have a Norn Stone?
Oh, yeah.
And how's that going to all play out, you know?
Well, I think Mike said he had it locked somewhere, so it might be hidden. And again, he thinks this is Matt Murdock, so Kingpin doesn't know anything about that Norn Stone, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I don't think Matt Murdock is coming back from this one.
Or Mike.
Yeah, Mike Murdock, yeah, because that's a full-on Kingpin head crush, you know?
Yeah, because you know Matt's going to, you come out eventually. It's like, oh, hey, I'm not dead. So I was like, is this going to be a way for him to, like, confuse the Kingpin and say, oh, no, I'm not Matt Murdock? But, yeah, I mean, Matt's going to...
Yeah, well, I mean, what would be interesting here is if they actually do bury Mike Murdock as Matt Murdock. And then the next arc with Daredevil is going to be the death of Matt Murdock, you know, which is that Matt Murdock is dead, and now how does Daredevil find a way to exist with Matt Murdock dead?
Yeah, I remember they teased this in the last issue of they mentioned, Matt Murdock's dead in the last issue of Woman Without Fear. So I figured it was gonna be Mike that got killed, but I told Lilith, I said, wouldn't it have been interesting if like Matt had got taken out or people thought he was dead for a while and Mike had to try to be Daredevil for a while?
That would have been interesting, but I don't think that's what happened.
No, I think Mike's dead.
Yeah, no, Mike is definitely dead. I find it interesting that was actually one thing I thought was very interesting was at the end of Superior 4, basically the Otto in this one says, let's put ourselves together, let's make ourselves into the ultimate superhero team. And then when they get back, like Kingpin is using his amped up Purple Man powers to command the Otto Hulk to throw out a regular Otto.
Yeah.
And then later, the Otto team is like, what the heck just happened? So I wonder if we are going to be going into a more heroic Otto Octavius at the end of this.
Maybe.
That he is actually going to sort of restructure himself. Maybe even cracking out the old Tolliver body. Since it's like, I need to do something. I can't be the superior octopus. I know how that played out. I'm not going to be the superior Spider-Man anymore. But maybe I do need an identity that will allow me to be the hero I was meant to be. And then maybe we'll get Ms. Marconi back. And that's all I really want, is just to have Ms. Marconi back.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of clones and mind stuff, Amazing Spider-Man 92.
Yes.
The end of the Beyond Corporation.
Getting close to the end here.
With the board of directors and everything else, and Z, which is Z for lizard, vampire lizards.
Yeah, I was expecting more behind that door, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, I don't even know if this is supposed to be Connor's, or if it's a variation that thinks it's Connor's, or Connor's clones, but that's been hopped up on vampire juice from Dr. Mike. But one of the things I find very interesting in this is Ben Reilly's detachment from reality and detachment from emotion.
Oh, yeah, because, part of his memories, his brain's missing, so.
Yeah, when he's basically saying, the parts that told me how to be Peter Parker. But then when he sees Janine, he realizes that, this is the person, these are my memories, this is my reality. So I do wonder if that's going to be an aspect of this. I don't think they're going to just kill off Ben Reilly again.
Yeah, no.
I don't think we're going to get a little decomposition into crystals. But I hope it's going to be maybe even that, I don't need your memories, Pete. Because I'm not Pete. I'm Ben Reilly. It's better that I don't have them. It's better that I build my own legacy in my own life. Who knows? Maybe Otto comes back at the end, and is a little GSX Auto and says, here's a collection of memory tapes I happened to dig out. Yeah. But I think the vampire lizard as a big bad was a little anticlimactic. And in fact, it's interesting that they even, at the climax of it, they even sort of cut away and say, well, we'll get to that next issue.
There's only
I guess they just got to keep us buying.
Yeah, there's only like 2 more issues left of this because we got a 92-point BEY, which I guess is going to be like the Monica Rambeau one, and then I think the last part's that 93 with the 2 Spider-Men fighting on the cover. So,
yes. What did Peter do?
Well, that's Amazing number 1, but they're like, oh, is that going to have something to do with this? Because I think they said the same guy's writing the last issue as was writing Amazing number 1 when they rebooted. So they're like, could that have something to do with it?
I imagine it has to in some way tie it all back together.
Yeah.
All right. And last book. At least my last book, unless you have some more you want to talk about. Thor 23.
Yes.
End of an era.
What?
And again, this is one of these things where I kind of feel like it's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina, no pun intended. Where they're basically like, I was actually waiting for the dwarves whose spirit was supposed to inhabit the hammer to be coming in and being like, no, now we're the ones, and you're not the only ghost in this hammer, Mjolnir. And after they smashed it all heck and back. But I like the idea that Odin's spirit is now forged into the hammer, which I think is an interesting thing. Along those lines, it's interesting to me also because I wonder if we're going to get some reference to that in Love and Thunder, where we are going to have that reforged hammer, and is someone else's spirit going to be forged into that hammer? In Thor: Love and Thunder. I
mean, it could be Odin because he kind of, he technically died pretty much the same spot where that hammer got destroyed in Ragnarok. I mean, he basically just disintegrated. So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also neat because, now Mjolnir has all those cracks and, pieced together, which is how the new Jane Foster hammer looks in the toys that have been leaked. Getting it all back to leaked images from the merch. So, which just super connects it all back to the beginning. Any final thoughts you want to talk about this week, Philip?
No. Think good.
Philip, do you see this wonderful mug?
Yes, I do.
You know that this is a high-quality aluminum mug?
Yes, I do.
Not that cheap Uru mug that you might get at the store.
This one doesn't break!
High-quality aluminum mug will keep your cold stuff cold all night long. How do I know this? Because I have fallen asleep, not like recently, but in general, fallen asleep with cold stuff in my mug, and it has stayed cold. And it has that delightful Capes and Lunatics logo on the outside. Phil, if people would like to get a wonderful mug like this, how can they do that?
Well, you could always, you can find links to all of the merchandise, our Patreon, our YouTube channel, all of our various social media. Basically anything Capes and Lunatics or Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks at Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics. And hey, including Superconnectivity, and if you have a question for the man himself, Charlie S., or, send it, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail, 614-382-2737, that's 614-38-CAPES.
We will play your thoughts on the air, keep it clean.
Yes.
All right, and of course, if you'd like to write to me directly in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, you can do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things when they come back and are aired live on a channel that I can easily watch. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEssser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality.
Bing! Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That has been another episode of Superconnectivity. We have enjoyed connecting with you, exploring the interconnections of the universe. And we ask you, please, next week, come right back here and super connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.
Love that song. It's like a lullaby. Lull your children to sleep.
Hi, I'm one of the High Priests of Khonshu Ray, and I have the sacred privilege of providing you, the loony listener, with a podcast honouring Marvel's very own Moon Knight. So join me and a host of others at Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or support the show by becoming a Patreon member. Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. It's time to get your Khonshu on.